just got back from Bagger Racing League in Sonoma, California with Arnie Wells.
Man, that thing's quick.
You rode that bike unlike we had seen you ride it.
Arnie's down on the track.
The whole team noticed something just click, almost like a man possessed.
Go Arnie, yeah!
I knew that that is where I belong, you know, like I knew that I could push it harder.
Hello, I'm Greg Woodward. I'm the dealer principal for Grand Teton Harley-Davidson in Idaho Falls, Idaho. I'm here with Arnie Wells.
Yeah, I'm Arnie Wells. I'm a tattoo artist here in Idaho Falls and a racer.
So, we just got back from Bagger Racing League. It was round 2 at Sonoma Raceway in Sonoma, California. Sonoma Raceway is a technical raceway and is known for, lots of elevation change, plenty of turns. We spent a whole weekend out there. We got out there on a Wednesday. Got a big Airbnb for everybody to get together, the whole team. And Arnie, I think that was the first time you got on the bike, was actually as we pulled it off the trailer before we even got to the raceway there, and you were able to get out into the foothills there in rural Sonoma County and let it rip a bit.
First time Arnie's been on the bike, I think he'll be impressed.
It's a whole different world being on the street compared to the track, so it was weird to try to compare it to what it was going to be like, but it had a lot of power. It handled really good. But I wasn't pushing it as hard because I was on the streets, So I just wanted to get a feel for it. It had, grip of power, stop fast, felt good.
So we've got a 2020 Street Glide here that our team at Grand Teton Harley-Davidson modified into a road glide, but it is a custom-built race bike for Arnie Wells. We raced this motorcycle in the Pro Stock Bagger class at Bagger Racing League. So we got out to the raceway on Friday and set up in the garage. They had a practice day set up. This particular bike in the category that you were racing in was Pro Stock Bagger. There was a GP category as well, which, the bikes are allowed to be modified quite a bit more. But in practice, there were time slots throughout the day for Pro Stock Bagger and GP to get out together. So you got to run against some of those faster bikes as well. What were your initial impressions?
So, I was just trying to get the feel for the track. Everybody, all day has been, warning me about how cold the track was, the shadowed spots were going to be, riding on ice.
It's cold out there. There's a lot to learn.
I hit turn 2 and slid out pretty good, and it scared me. So, I held off, quite a bit and, figure out, my lean angles, where I could push it to. Yeah, then we ran into, some things were hitting, the exhaust was a little too low. So then our tech guys cut a big chunk of that off and was able to get down a little bit more on the right, and it just got more comfortable, as the day went on.
Yeah, and this is the first time that you've been on true racing slicks too, right?
Yeah.
On that track. What was it like riding on those things?
Yeah, so for me, it's a huge thing, in my head, trying to trust the tires, and it's hard to, it's hard to go out there and not know if you're going to stick in the corner or not, and you're pushing it so hard that it's scary. You don't know if you're going to slide out or what's going to happen, but the slicks were huge, they stuck so good.
Yeah, and outside of that, we didn't really need to modify the bike too much to fit that track. A lot of that modification had been done before. I know our technicians were really focused on making sure the bike was ready before we got there. There were a lot of teams that had their bikes torn down, it looked like, on practice, and we did a build in 3 weeks, which is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, that was huge. It was crazy. We didn't know, trying to get the parts, if it was even going to happen, we didn't know if we were going to be running the 07 Street Glide or this bike, so it's cool to see the whole team come together and we got the parts in time and see those guys get it done.
So I know this was only your second time out on a track as well, so Utah being the first. Utah is a pretty flat track. Sonoma's up there in the hills of Sonoma, and lots of turns, some steep climbs, some, downhill type stuff, blind corners.
Half the turns were blind corners, so it's super scary, coming over a hill and then you got a hard left or something, and it just took time to figure out you could push it further over that hill. But yeah, sometimes I'd come in too hot or just be weak, I was just being a wimp and not pushing it hard enough, and then I just tried to work on it and try to figure out the braking points and when to let off.
So I know we had somebody on our team, Pete, who had driven that track as a race car driver and had coached a lot of people on that track. So we got up around the track and were, kind of spotting where your lines were and things like that too. And we started to see you nail those turns though as practice went on. But with the technical side of the track, there were, riders that went down. We saw Ravi go down in practice.
Yeah, some of like the top guys, like big names, like they're going down, and so it's just like scaring you, you know, like seeing that they're even struggling with the track.
So in qualifiers, can you explain how that process works a little bit?
So we have a transponder on the front forks, and we just all go out different times. You can start together if you want to, but it was supposed to be about 30 minutes, but one of the riders had gone down. I think they cut it a little short, which might have been good for me because we were all really tight, and I ended up with like this 2 spot. There's like 6 of us within like 1 second.
And you qualified number 2, so
Yeah.
huge improvement over the Utah race, qualified 7. So for finals then, since you qualified 2nd, you lined up 2nd, but you had never launched this bike before, right? Like never had an opportunity to truly launch the bike from a start.
So I should have probably done that on the practices the day before and earlier that day, but I was just trying to figure out the bike and the corners, the track, everything, and I like just spaced the start. And so then it came like we were getting ready to go out for the actual race, and I was like, dude, I haven't launched this bike. So I like pulled out onto the track, like into like the pit area, and tried to launch it. It just came like straight up so fast. And then like when it came to the actual race, like the nerves or something, I did it again.
So we had 3 different restarts, and those restarts were because of crashes. When you saw that red flag come out, you know, that many times, what was going through your head?
Of course, like I don't want to see anybody go down. That sucks, like seeing that red flag, because like you know that something just happened. But it's like it was like frustrating to me, like in the moment, because it felt like I was in the best position that I could have been. Then I just had to like restart and try to earn that spot back. And then I had Logan next to me at one of them, and I know his starts are insane.
Just prior to that 3rd restart, you were solidly in 2nd position. Like there was no doubt that you were going to take 2nd if you stayed on the track, just so far ahead of the pack.
They've got a red and a yellow flag out right now, so they got to hold up here.
And then, yeah, the red flag came out, had to restart it again. I think there was just 2 laps, if I recall, after that restart. Down that backside of the track, I know missed a line a little bit. The baffle on the exhaust blew out, so you thought there might be something wrong with the engine, so dropped to 4th.
Yeah, so I was going, I think it was turn 6, and Logan got to the right of me, and I wasn't able to get into that corner. So he'd passed me there, then I passed him going into the next apex, and then he passed me again. I don't know if I was like kind of panicked or what, but I really messed up a corner right after that, and Oleg got around me then also. And I didn't know if I was gonna like be done. Like I went into straight panic mode, and like I didn't want to settle for that, you know, so I got after it.
And you told me afterwards, like, hey, there's no way I'm taking 4th. It was just like, almost like a man possessed, you know, coming back down that straightaway, had a really high speed outside pass.
I just didn't want to settle for it, you know, because I knew that I could push it harder. I didn't know if it was going to be possible, you know.
Yeah.
But I pushed it as hard as I could, so.
Yeah, passed 2 in 1 lap, and held on firmly again for that 2nd place finish. Congratulations on the finish. It was awesome to watch you, and we're hoping that Bagger Racing League continues to thrive and that there are more events put out there. I know they've announced a couple for this upcoming year, the Milwaukee Mile and then Daytona later in the year. You excited to get back on the bike again?
Oh, way excited. Yeah, it's cold here, so I don't know, like when I can, you know, if we can go get a track day somewhere warm.
And I know we're talking about doing a couple more modifications. Like we said, this was a 3-week build. Barry and Russell, our technicians, just pulled off a fantastic feat, like trying to get it, you know, completed in time, put an incredible machine out on the track. So this particular bike was purpose-built for the track, so it's not street legal, but a lot of these components that are on this bike, and obviously the knowledge that our technicians have, translate over into performance baggers for the street. But if you're looking for a performance build and you want to outpace your buddies out on the roads, you know, make sure you contact us. We have the skills, we have the ability, we know the components that go on these bikes to build your performance bagger. Make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. We've got a lot of great content still to come.